Everyone, welcome. Come one, come all.
Drop the ball.
Florida State's second win of the season, our second live instant reaction. The game is still going on at this moment for just, oh my God, something's happening all over the screen. For giving you guys insight into how the sausage is made. It's 66-10. There's still 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Adam, Kevin, and I have families. We had to get this instant reaction done. This has been and I apologize for my voice. It is like totally screwed. I've been a little sick this weekend. It's been a thorough, complete decimation of a team that Florida State was thought beforehand to decimate. I thought they did it in a fairly impressive fashion, but when you score about 70 points with most of the fourth quarter left to go, the game's going to drag. I would love to hear Kevin and Adam's thoughts of the actual game, but obviously mostly positive. There was a job they had to do. They did it. Some things they even did it without having the most clean game possible, which is very interesting. I think it's going to lead to a very interesting discussion on the potential of this team. But Adam, I want to get to you. What do you think of Florida State's performance? What stood out to you, both positive and negative, of this drubbing of a team that is most likely, they were a bowl team last year, a top 70-ish team in S&P Plus, a top 40 defense in S&P Plus last year, but a Sun Belt team. What do you think? What do you think about the performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start with the positive. I think it's great. You've gone out and won the game the way you're supposed to win it. You've put up 66 points so far with about 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and all your reserves in there. And you were up, obviously, 31-3 at the half. So you went out and accomplished the things that you needed to accomplish as far as the scoreboard's concerned, and not being forced to play starters late into the game and getting guys in good valuable reps for development and getting freshmen in there. But from a much a much smaller picture, I didn't think they played that great. I really at no point thought in the beginning, or especially in the first quarter, that they were playing. And I should say this offensively, because I thought the defense was playing really well and they had a lot of energy and they were flying around. The offense just looked out of sync. I didn't think Jordan Travis was particularly sharp on the night. Thought some of those 50-50 balls that they kept going incomplete. I thought some of those were on him. He missed Johnny on one. They had a chance to lead him, would have been a touchdown. It got underthrown. Guy got into Johnny's body. Guy had an opportunity to break the ball up. That jump ball to Keon Coleman, another one in the underthrows. It's just he missed Jaheim Bell when he's wide open. I thought the throw to Hakeem Williams was very poorly underthrown. I just didn't think Jordan played that great. And still, you went out and did what you needed to do. And I think this is going to lead to some conversations. We were having some of that in the beginning, or before we even jumped on air here. It's really good that you did what you needed to do and you blown this team out. We'll see what they're going to be. I think everybody has an idea that this is going to be a decent Southern Miss team. But I think you could have played a lot better. And I think you need to continue to try to play your best, and you need your Heisman quarterback candidate to. I think he's got to get dialed in here a little bit. He didn't start well against LSU. He comes out in this game and doesn't start well again. It may be becoming a trend, and that's a problem.
I think that's a little unfair. I think that's unfair. At the beginning, and near the end of the first half, there was a couple of throws he missed. The incompletions at the beginning of the game were not from Jordan not being dialed in. It was from drops.
I disagree. I completely disagree.
There was a mix.
Okay. What do you think, Kev, as the third observer?
Sorry, you guys kind of got framed.
Yeah, it froze there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a mix. There were a few throws that were underthrown. That allowed the defenders to catch up, get their hands in between the receiver's hands, and that's a winning position, right? I think Southern Miss knew that Florida State was going to go over the top. I think they had drilled proper technique on how to break up those deep balls, and I think they did a really good job with it. I think Jordan Travis underthrew some of the deep balls. There were definitely drops that hurt. Jaheim Bell again dropped a ball early on. Johnny Wilson dropped a few balls. You can't ignore that. I think that if we go back and watch the film, especially if we ever get all 22 of this game, there were several times where Jordan Travis could have gone to an intermediate route and instead tried to push the ball downfield to a guy who had safety help, who was capped by a safety. So I don't think he was necessarily reading the field super well in this game.
Now, do you guys think that them not playing their best game, like I want you to say if this is a negative or a positive. They did not play their best game, obviously. They're up by nearly 60 points on a bowl team. They had the second and third string in with like 10 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, we like to see it because we're so intimately knowledgeable of this team, of their potential. But taking a step back, the fact that they had this performance with not their A game against a team of like this caliber, like, and I'm not saying it's like a very high caliber team, but it's a very competent team.
Mm-hmm.
Are you more or less encouraged by the trajectory of FSU's season by this game? To me, I'm more. Short week, competent team, head coach familiar with the head coach because he coached on his team, a team that had a top 40 defense last year per S&P Plus, and it was a laugher the entire game, even with us having a bunch of drops. Are you more or less encouraged by the trajectory of this team?
I think the only reason why I would say I'm less encouraged. This is the only thing, because I agree with you for the most part. No, I am more encouraged, but the one thing that makes me apprehensive is that they could not run on Southern Miss in the first quarter. They tried to run counter. I did not think that they were terribly successful doing it. It did not feel like they were getting a good push along the offensive line when Southern Miss was fresh, and that was a concern for me. Do you disagree, AB?
Yeah, I mean, the O-line stuff's a worry for me, but I think that some of the stuff that's going on there, and we'll look at it in film review, but I think some of the stuff going on up there is just like working together, stuff that's got to get ironed out through reps and games and whatnot. And I think that'll get itself figured out. The Johnny stuff's starting to concern me a little bit. We'll see where that kind of goes. I'm indifferent on the outcome of this game. Like, it's great that they went out and blew this team out, but you get into these third strings and guys quit playing. Like Frank Gore quit in the middle of the game.
They made him quit. They made him quit by beating his ass on defense.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to get all like wild and crazy about beating Southern Miss.
Dude, but Adam, they outplayed your expectations for this game. That's what we were talking about beforehand. You're kind of poo-pooing it a little bit, but I'm not greatly outplayed.
It's a fantastic outcome. Nobody got hurt. Let's go play BC. Like, we're gonna get the answers.
Southern Miss might be a better team than BC.
That's good. We're gonna get great answers on this team in 2 weeks. Like, I'm just not gonna ride a high or a low on the outcome of beating Southern Miss. I don't see the point in it.
You thought it was a 45-24 game before what happened. It's 66-10, and they played like third stringers like a minute into the third quarter.
That's great.
Why aren't you? You got to be positive, right?
I'm very happy with the outcome. It's good. It's a good outcome. They won the game. Nobody got hurt. They did what they should have done. But no, I mean, I think are we not allowed to critique? Are we not allowed to critique them because they are beating Southern 66-13? Like,
it's not that, but the frame is an interesting discussion for me, Kevin. I want you as like a third party observer, based on what you thought was going to happen. You studied the opposing teams with a keen eye. Did Florida State perform better or worse against this team than you thought they would?
All right, let's change the name, because I think the name Southern Miss is getting in people's heads here. So if we just look at kind of where, F+ has them, but as of before this game, which I think they're a little lower than I would be. Southern Miss, they're a few spots below. They're 2 spots above Boston College. So if you beat Boston College 66-13, I think you're pretty happy about it. just because this team's in the Sun Belt and not a low tier ACC team,
Right.
we want to think bad. But Southern Miss isn't some no-name team like Charleston Southern. This is a good football team that plays FBS football. That's a bowl eligible team. This is, you saw UNC go to overtime against a Sun Belt team, a team in the same conference as Southern Miss, and Southern Miss very, very well might have a shot to beat App State this year.
Yeah.
So I think they were rough edges. I think they were coming off a short week. I'm a little concerned. I was hoping for better push on counter plays. I didn't see it. I was hoping Jordan Travis would make better reads and make better throws. I didn't see it.
Let me reframe this. Do you think Mike Norvell's happy? Do you think Mike Norvell was happy at halftime?
Is a head coach ever happy? I mean,
so
he was after LSU.
It is what it is, though. I mean, if he's not happy for a reason. They didn't play great in the first half. It's great that they went out and blew them out. That's fantastic. They've got things they got to clean up. The expectations for this team now are playoffs, not beating Southern Miss 66-13. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. Like, it's not. I'm not poo-pooing the performance. It's great. They did exactly what they should have done, and probably exceeded what they should have done. What was the spread for this game? Like 30 something,
31 and a half or something like that.
So I mean, they exceeded the spread. Like that's
almost doubled it. Yeah,
it's incredible. But they've got things they got to keep cleaning up. They got to get better. Like they think they can run the ball on everybody. They haven't been able to run the ball on anybody yet, really.
Yeah.
As the starting group has not been able to go out there and just establish the run game.
I agree with that.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I think situationally they did okay. But I'm with you. As USM, decent situational run stopping team. Big, decent.
Yeah, they're a big front too. Yeah, they're big.
Yeah,
front.
and big front with Maurice Smith being out. A lot of changes up front for this game. I think that's fair. I think the thing that really stuck out to me positively, Adam, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it. The Florida State defense, confident, aggressive, all night against a guy that quarterback, Billy Wiles and Frank Gore Jr.,
yeah,
those are some dangerous guys. They're Sun Belt guys, but those are dangerous guys. Well, give me your thoughts on the defense, because I was very impressed with them for the duration.
They were inspired. They were really inspired. They were flying around. Kellen Dulwich had an incredible hit. They were rotating a ton of guys. They were playing kind of like Gilbert. They were playing like packages, and then on third down they would bring in Jared Verse and Pat Payton to come in and be pass rush. Dennis Briggs was incredible again. He looks like his old self, maybe even better.
Oh yeah, big time. Very impressive performance.
There were a couple coverages that looked like they blew some communication. I know the one that ended up being incomplete to the tight end down on the goal line. It looked like Greedy and Shaheem were miscommunicating that. They were kind of talking after the play. Looked like maybe they didn't get a switcher that needed to get switched off on. I think that area continues to improve, which is encouraging. They seem to continue to be cleaning up kind of the communication in the secondary. Stinks that you lost Akeem Dent in the game, but Conrad Hussey steps in there and immediately makes a play, and he looks.
I thought he got that pick. Did you think he got that pick? I thought he undercut it beautifully.
I was like, why didn't they even look at it? Like they didn't even. I mean, obviously they're reviewing it up in the booth, but it just I don't know.
I will say, just non-football point. It's a tougher job than anybody realizes, but the announcers and the referees,
god awful, man.
I don't know what's worse than dog shies, but whatever is like the bacteria that grows on that is what it was. Listen, just get me out of this conference, dude. I'm tired of seeing the leg pillow infomercials, the alien tape, the tag glasses. Get me out. It is god awful. We need an alternate play-by-play with us three. It kills me, dude. They were so bad all night.
I think that's part of my problem too. Like it's an 8:30 start, and then it goes to 8:40 because UNC's in overtime. And that dog water of officiating crew,
worst,
they were horrible. And then the announcing crew. Like, how the hell can you enjoy a football game and have a positive mindset after sitting through that for almost 4 hours. Like it is a brutal product. They've got to get out of this conference because it is impossible to deal with. But I mean, the defense, and I'm curious because Kev was in the stands. Like, Kev, what were your kind of thoughts with the all 22 view of the defense?
Oh, I thought the secondary looked amazing, to be honest with
Ooh,
you. I think,
okay. Why do you say
I-
amazing?
Here's the
you know,
positivity.
I think there was one or two busted coverages, which can happen, but
Yep.
man, you can tell Southern Miss wanted to throw the football. They did not trust themselves to be able to run the football on Florida State. They put him to the test. That little quarterback of theirs, he's a good player. I mean, I saw Greedy Vance, very technical, doing what he does. There were a few plays where that quarterback just had nowhere to go with the football.
Mhm.
They were playing both man and zone. They were communicating well. I struggled to see how there's going to be too many teams that can take advantage of this defense. I think I was optimistic about what this defense could be.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're meeting that optimism, and I think if this stuff continues, I think you're looking at a potential top 10 defense with just how everything seems to be clicking right now. With you've got the nickel position figured out, Greedy Vance looking good.
Yeah.
You have Finchel Cypress, who you trusted man coverage against Malik Neighbors a week ago. I think in general the secondary is looking really, really solid. You have dependable linebackers. The defensive line is, of course, as good as advertised. And so, I mean, this defense until the backups really got put in. I mean, I think they held them to like 76 yards or something like that. I mean, that's just an insane performance.
Final score just came in 66-13. Billy Wiles at quarterback that you thought, Adam, I think you thought pretty highly of him. Like he had some decent skills.
Yeah, he's savvy.
Yeah, 11-34, 154 yards, 1 pick, 0 touchdowns. Frank Gore Jr., 11 carries, 31 yards. That's 2.8 per. They did what they had to do. I'm with you. Like, obviously, it's weird to say on a game where the offense scored 66, but I think that the defense was the clear MVP of the game. Adam, from an offensive perspective, though, like we said, not a clean game. Johnny Wilson, we will need to see him rebound.
Mm-hmm.
He had a tough week of practice before LSU, a couple drops, but still had a really, really good game against LSU.
Yeah. Yep.
He's got it in him. Just got to jumble it around and make sure, like, he's got all the talent in the world.
Sure.
From an offensive perspective, what did you see that was positive from the Florida State Seminoles tonight that you think will carry them on to future success in the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, first things, I mean, they scored, well, they didn't score 66 points. They scored, let's see, so 7 of them were on Jarion's.
And that was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was real nice.
We have to shout him out. Like, that was an incredible play. He read that really well. They
So
had
59.
They had 7 quarterback hurries. They had 2 sacks in the game, 4 tackles for loss. Like, that defense, the Adam Fuller haters might need to come to the.
We'll have that reckoning here later.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, look, I said that I didn't think Jordan Travis played his best game, but he was still so poised back there, running the show, like getting guys where they need to be, getting the offense into the right plays, getting checks, scrambling around as the offensive line blew a couple protections early and making big 4th down plays. They were not very efficient on 3rd down in the first half, but very efficient on 4th down because of Jordan Travis's ability to extend plays. I mean, I think the passing attack continues to be a strength. They've got to, I think they've got to continue to dial that in, though. Jordan's got to be a little sharper with some of his throws, and they've got to finish plays. It was kind of cool. Keon Coleman looked like he kind of got pissed at one point and was like, "Yeah,
dude,
I'm going to take the half over." And
what a sequence!
It was kind of wild. He was tired of the BS and just kind of took over. He's jumping dudes, and then they get right back to him, which I like to see. I was happy. That Trey got some touchdowns. There weren't a ton of yards there for him on counter. I mean, teams are clearly they're going to stop counter. Teams have a plan of how they want to stop counter. They're going to do everything they can Florida State did some key breaker stuff tonight. They ran counter to the side of the back, which we haven't seen them do a ton. So they're working the diversity of that run game. They just need to. I think that offensive line is going to be okay. They've got to just keep working the kind of the cohesiveness in there. Those guys, they've got to get the communications down. You get Mo back hopefully next week. Let those guys keep kind of grinding. I think that group's going to become a strength. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Byers still seems to kind of not always know where he's going or what he's supposed to be doing. That's kind of coming along. I think that those guys, hopefully by game 4, are going to be hitting their stride, and they're going to need to be. They're going to need to do that to beat Clemson.
That toss play was a nice little wrinkle, getting a way to find Benson getting up to speed and getting the momentum quickly. I thought that was very nice. Kev, what do you think offensively? Do you think that it was a positive or a negative that so early we all thought that this was a game that Florida State kind of needed to lab test the run game, right? Like you got to get that run game going. It's a team that wants to run against anybody. Were you encouraged or discouraged that when Jordan Travis saw a one-on-one, no matter who the opponent was, he was going to go after it? Did you like that? Do you think that Florida State was running their offense against USM like they would any other team? Or were you discouraged that they didn't try to impose the run game a little bit more?
No, I mean, I think you take what the defense is giving you. I'm okay with him taking those shots.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just need to come up with more of those shots. There was an overthrow of Johnny Wilson early. There were a couple of balls where it felt like he was just lofting him up. It felt like Southern Miss sat on counter and really was prepared for them to go over the top. And I don't feel like FSU was really going to, sit there and hit those intermediate routes that consistently. I think if you're going to point to encouraging things, it's that, Darian Williamson, Deuce Spann look like two guys that would probably start on basically any other team in the country.
The depth of the wide receiver room, that's a great point. And it was interesting last year. We had the rotating cast of who was going to have their big receiving game that week. And you don't even really know. It's funny because Keon got his in that second quarter. But the depth of that wide receiver room, man, Darian Williamson and Deuce Spann early, they look great.
Yep.
Yeah, they got Winston Wright involved. Destin Hill finally got his first catch, which was cool to see.
Yep.
Crowd seemed to react to that. That was a cool story. They've got so many guys in that room that just can go make plays for them. I would like to see them start trying to. It just feels like right now everything is a go ball. Everything's a deep shot.
What would you like to see them focus on more from a passing game standpoint, Adam? That intermediate level, or is there like a route concept they're lacking on?
Yeah, I think so. I think working the middle of the field a little bit more is something I would love to see. Look, I mean, teams are giving up these go routes for a reason. I mean, it's one of the lowest percentage throws in football, but you've got two guys that are really good at going and getting them, so it makes sense to throw them, and that's what they're giving you. I would love to see. Last week we saw some good slants, and I think it's important that the conversation about this game is framed also in the standpoint of you played Sunday night, and you come back and you play Saturday, so you're on a short week.
Yep.
That means fewer practices. That means less game playing time. That means less time to heal your body. Like there's a boatload of crap that went into this week just to get ready, and you went out and won 66-13, which is, to your point, is super impressive. And I'm not trying to downplay the impressiveness.
I think you're right. The expectations, though, just to give you some credence to your point, Adam, the expectations have shifted from week 0 to week 2. Absolutely. Like the potential of this team, honestly, and in my opinion, because of the performance of the rest of the college football world.
That Nimrod Kane just gave Florida State like 4 out of 5 advantages over Georgia. Like that, to put it in perspective.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and I'm not saying he's wrong on any or all of them, but like put that in perspective.
Like these are the conversations you're in now. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So I'm with you. As the season progresses, the expectations, the trajectory, we're going to hold them in a little bit of a higher standard because we know that they have that potential in them.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair. So I would say good time to wrap it up. Adam, what's your, of the USM game, final thoughts? Mission accomplished or not?
Yeah, I think so. 66-13. You did what you should have done. You continue to put stuff on film that you can go back into the film room and continue to point to say we've got to clean this up. You came out of the game mostly healthy, which is what you needed to do. I don't feel like I'm being that negative about like the outcome of the
I don't
game.
think so either. I don't think so either.
I feel like it's just important to have the like we want them to go beat Clemson. They're going to have to do this stuff to go beat Clemson. And I know this is USM, this wasn't Clemson, but like this shit's got to get cleaned up or they're not going to be Clemson. And that's what my focus is because that's what I'm looking at now. They're going to walk out there and beat BC and USM. I want them to go beat Clemson. So that I'm going to focus on the things that are important to go do that. Catching the football, Jordan being sharp, like I don't think you could play a C game. They played a C game tonight. I don't think you could play a C game and go beat Clemson personally on the road. So
I think it was a little bit better in the C game, but to your point, still stands. To consistently have the success that it's not even hypothetical. The team is capable of this.
Hell yeah!
Like this,
they could have scored 100 tonight. Somebody just said, "What do you want to see them score 100?" They could have scored 100 on that team if they wanted to. If they had been sharp, they could have scored 100.
I'd love to see it. The calibrations, as we get more info, more input, as the input keeps rolling in from these games, the expectations shift. Kev, what do you think? Mission accomplished? What do you think that they need to work on in the immediate, in the next coming week? Something that they really need to focus on getting better.
Yeah, I think throughout the season, you're going to get halves like they had. That first half was a messy half. And you'd rather see it now than against Clemson or NC State. You know, like this half against NC State is why you lost that NC State game last season. But it's good that they have this now. I honestly think it's the best thing that could have happened is them come out and be rusty and not look good against Southern Miss that first half. Because now they can point to, we have trouble catching the ball. We're having trouble winning these one-on-ones. We might need to find different ways to kind of diversify our run game, diversify, our passing tree in order to generate better matchups for our guys. Because we struggled to win those matchups, those shot plays that we wanted to win against Southern Miss. So how much we don't want to be in a position where we're playing Clemson and we need that shot play and we don't get it. And so I think it's a really good thing that we saw a little bit of struggle. I think that these kids, they're number 4 in the country. They're being talked about in a way that a Florida State team hasn't been talked about in 10 years. So there's going to be a certain mindset, a certain thought process that's in these kids' heads. And, you don't need them to lose for them to realize that they can lose, and I think there's plenty of stuff on that film to be like, look,
I agree.
We did this, and this wrong against Southern Miss, and we did not perform the way that we wanted to. And I think that's invaluable. And I'm glad that that's happened now. And now you get to work on it another week against Boston College. Hopefully you clean those things up and then you go into Clemson. So I see this as tune-up number 1. We'll see if they can take what they've messed up this game, fix it for Boston College, and that will be the litmus test to see how well prepared they'll be for Clemson.
I think that's great. There's a lot of things that, and I'm with you, Kevin and Adam. I agree with you both. It's time. It was a good win that they won comfortably. They got to have a lot of experience with the younger guys, but there is still a boatload of coaching tape that they can point to. Be like, guys, you're not at your apex yet. You could do this, this, and this, and this. And it's good. It gets them locked in. It gets them ready for the rest of the season. So great win. They did what they needed to do. we still have not seen the final form of this team yet, which is absolutely nuts.
It's exciting, right?
It really is. And
It's
I think that's
exciting.
a great way to frame it.
Yep.
Like we're tough on them, but that's because we know what they can be.
Yeah. It's cool that they're developing. Like that's the exciting part is that their best football is still in front of them, and you've got a blowout victory over LSU and a blowout victory over a bowl team from last year. Like it's really exciting. And I guess maybe I'm reflecting on how this is all going. It's like, people feel like I'm being negative. No, I'm just ready. I'm ready for them to go play Clemson. I don't want to talk about this game. I don't want to talk about next week. They're going to smoke these fools.
Boston College
They're going to do what they're
is
supposed
worse
to do.
than Southern.
Well, we got to got to talk about it.
I'm ready to talk about Clemson. Man. I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to see them line up against Georgia and play. Like I thirst for these moments now. Like because that's what this team's capable of.
Well, listen, I love you guys. I can't wait till the next time we talk where I don't sound like a Muppet, like on crack. Like my voice is just so shitty. I love you all. Florida State did the deed. We did the deed. Mission accomplished. Not to an optimum level of efficiency, but guys, this team's got another gear.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, they're 2-0 with a 60-point win over USM and a 21-point win over LSU. And we haven't seen that unknown gear yet. So I cannot wait to see it. For Adam, for Kevin, for Shitty Voice McGee. I love you all. Keep climbing.
Keep climbing.
Keep chopping.